everybody. Welcome to the new normal. It's Labor Day weekend. There are 2 people watching, but like 20 people chatting. So I don't know how that's happening. I wish there was a little more honesty in the world. Um, but you know what? It's Friday and it's a freedom happy hour Friday. So grab something red because we remember everyone deployed on Fridays. We are grateful to our military. I definitely want to correct the record on that. So we'll talk about Trump visiting Arlington. We're going to talk about Litecoin on Binance. We're going to talk about what's going on with Veritasium. There's so much going on. We're also going to talk about the markets. I'm going to ask Westwood what he thinks about all of it. So give us a like, share the video, grab a drink, and share this with a friend. We'll be right back right after this. Happy Friday, Westwood. Cheers.
Happy Friday. Cheers. What am I drinking?
What you drinking?
What am I drinking?
I just got a thumbs up and I don't have my thumb out at all.
Drinking. What are you drinking? Drinking. Drink. No. Vodka and premium club soda.
Premium club soda.
I didn't mention the vodka because it's not premium vodka.
It's not Tito's. Ooh, you're slumming.
Don't have any. I don't get out of the house to buy any.
Well, I will bring you some in.
I rely on other people to bring it.
I'll bring you some in October. I'll bring you a whole case in October.
Woo! And then when you leave, there'll be half a bottle.
I was gonna say I can't promise.
I'll bring it, but doesn't mean you're gonna get any.
We'll be left when we leave, but we'll bring.
Might not be much left.
Yeah.
And that's fine. We'll all have a good time.
You know what I forgot to mention on the intro, that I was watching some Bix videos this morning, and oh my gosh, like, you know how he's been talking about the Grand Canyon for.
Oh my God. We got to say it in the Bix Weir style. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
You got to throw California.
Says,
oh my God.
Bix Weir. And by the way, how does he say that?
And by the way. He's been talking about this for 20 years.
Yes, he's like, and not that I haven't said this for 20 years or more. There is incredible flooding in. If you guys haven't watched, go watch his latest video from earlier today. I think it was from this morning. And he shows all of this flooding in the Grand Canyon, and he says it's part of the secrets revealed that Uncle Cliff talks about. There was a pipeline busted or something. They are moving people or, blocking people from going to certain parts, even more than regular parts of the Grand Canyon. He thinks maybe they're going to be uncovering some of the gold, or that's my interpretation. I don't know that he actually said that, but that's my interpretation of that.
Not just the gold, but some of the ancient artifacts that are in there. And then you start getting a glimpse of civilizations, and you're like, wait a minute, why is all this stuff here? And when did it get here? And who brought it?
If the pyramids start being revealed in there, could it be? I don't know.
This is the apocalypse, the revealing of information. It's all coming out. It's coming out. I don't know if it's all coming
information. I thought the apocalypse was the undoing of everything.
Let's go back to the root word. What is it? Greek or something?
I don't know.
Maybe I've forgotten more than I've ever learned. I told you that, so maybe I'm way off base.
Wait, Uncle Cliff said the other day that most of Hebrew was based in Greek.
Greek to me.
So I think Greek was the base word, but I've been in canon Latin, so like my brain is just everything is Latin right now.
Forgive me, for I have sinned.
Are you looking it up in Latin? Hello to everyone in the chat.
That was the end of the word. Yeah, see, this is. I'm looking for definitions, and they're giving me all this other stuff that Okay, something viewed as a prophetic revelation. Some of these are interesting.
Okay.
A great disaster.
A great disaster. Ooh.
One of the Jewish and Christian writings of 200 BC to AD, marked by pseudonymity, symbolic imagery, and the expectation of an imminent cosmic cataclysm in which God destroys the ruling powers of evil and raises the righteous to a life in a messianic kingdom. Okay, there's that. A large disastrous fire inferno. Now, this isn't.
This is the apocalypse.
This isn't the apocalypse I once knew. What are we in? Some kind of.
Are you in the Urban Dictionary version?
No, that was Merriam-Webster. What the frick meaning? No, I just want a definition. Definition, Oxford English Dictionary. Where's that at? Let's go to. Right, yeah, exactly. Apocalypse Now. Before it's all religious stuff here, and it's like I just want the definition from the original root word. That's all I'm looking for here. Got to go back to the etymology of, they used to Oxford English Dictionary used to be really good about that, where you could go back and look at it. Apocalypse definition. Sorry, I'm wasting everyone's time on this, but it's kind of irking me a little bit.
I'm catching up with everyone in the chat. I'm rolling.
Okay, Cambridge English Dictionary. Apocalypse, a very serious event resulting in great destruction and change.
Okay. They've been talking a lot about the pole shift, and that asteroids coming by that could cause magnetic change, as well as a lot of Iceland. There's volcanoes kicking off right now.
Yeah. End of civilization. I mean, a prophecy or revelation. That's like the first thing that I'm coming across. Okay. A revealing of information. Let's just say that.
Information.
Prophecy or a revelation, a revealing of information. We're a prophecy. I mean, which is kind of a future, or a revealing of future information. A prophecy, I guess. So anyway, it's just leaking information. And then so we've applied the apocalypse to, oh my gosh, everything's going to end. Oh, it's over. We're going to have this big war and all this stuff. And it's like, okay. But my point is, it really just means, revealing of some sort of information. Maybe not truth, but a revealing of information that was once hidden, I guess. That's my definition. Take it or leave it. Westwood Dictionary says so.
Westwood Dictionary. Page 107.
I feel like these definitions aren't the same as I remember them when I was in college. They seem a little bit different.
So maybe we had a time shift.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. It's Mandela stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mandolins. Okay. Anyway, where are we at? Sorry.
I do want to. On Thursday morning on World Blockchain Roundtable, maybe was it on? I think it was. I was asking because I didn't have a good point of perspective, and some of our friends in the chat have a military background, and I know somebody on your couch does as well. And I wondered why Trump was speaking to the National Guard, because I knew after, working with some of my friends in the military and making a donation to Warriors for Freedom, that they're not allowed to get political. And I had more education about working with the military and all that, and how important that is, because they have to obey whoever is commander in chief, regardless of political views. And that's just very much part of the culture, military culture, is to not get political. And so I was like, why would Trump be speaking to the National Guard unless he was commander in chief right now?
An odd thing, isn't it?
Which is one of the theories. And so to me, that validated that for me. But then I heard
maybe it's the dash, and there is no commander in chief.
That could be. We could be in a military operation. That is one of the theories. I heard that the mainstream media was then criticizing him about going to Arlington. So my grandfather is buried in Arlington, and I had questions about that myself. I was like, what? Why is that? I wasn't criticizing him, but I did have questions about that. Like, why is that happening? Then tonight I heard him speaking in Pennsylvania, and he told the story and said that he was asked by the family because those soldiers were the soldiers that passed. So, and then ironically, the World Blockchain Roundtable invited these guys from the Legacy Right, which is another YouTube channel. Go check it out. They are agorists. and from Libertarian Party, or they support Libertarian Party and ideas. And they had this one girl on that she was a delegate for the Libertarian Party, I believe out of Oregon, but I can't exactly remember. I apologize. And I was watching one of their videos to kind of learn more about them and who they were. And she was explaining that she was at their convention and listened to RFK speak at their convention and listened to Trump speak at their convention. And she was explaining to, which I didn't even know that happened. And she said,
I didn't either.
she was like, hey, I was running up to these MAGA guys and being like, hey, look, we will heckle him because that is what we do. Mm-hmm. But we will also celebrate when he says things we agree with, because that is what we do.
Right. You should question things.
Yeah.
And you should applaud the things that you agree with. I mean, that's discourse. Right. That's good dynamics.
I thought it was pretty open-minded conversation. Yeah. I really enjoyed the interview. You guys might check out the Legacy Right channel. Okay. Yeah. I enjoyed it. And I might have them on sometime to have a conversation, just to really share some open-minded conversation. But and this, so it was just all happenstance that this all information fell in my lap today. But she was talking about Trump speaking at that, and then they had a conversation about the plan that that Trump actually had originally created a plan to leave Afghanistan, but it would take at least 6 months longer, and to pull out the military last. And then that Biden's plan was to make Trump's plan look like a failure, and that's why they quickly pulled out and pulled the military out first, and made the failure on purpose, knowing that U.S. citizens and military people would die, just to make Trump look bad.
That's Trump's plan. We just went with it.
Right. And so they sacrificed U.S. citizens and military just to make Trump look bad. Right. And they were explaining all this, and I was horrified that you would be that politics. And I mean, I know dirty politics and all this, but to think that it's just horrible when you hear it that plainly spoken,
Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, this is what happened.
Yes. And if most Americans
cost of doing business in the corporation,
right, the cost of American lives and heroes' lives. And so then to hear that, and then hearing Trump say the families wanted, a lot of these families, I didn't know this either, sent their sons and daughters' death certificates to Trump and said, we don't want Biden signing our children's death certificates.
Imagine that.
We want you to sign it because we don't want Biden's signature on our children's death certificates.
Filthy.
Yes. And so they asked him to come, and he had to and I remember, like, my husband and I were like, well, he's supposed to speak at this time. And I had changed my time with Johnny.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, he's supposed to speak, but then they had to change it. Well, that's because he changed the schedule so that he could spend time with those families, and so that he could accommodate those families to honor those soldiers.
Yep.
So that was a request of those families. He wasn't doing that for a publicity
PR stunt
or anything else. And so anyway, I have more information I wanted to pass along, and I wanted to help educate people with the information, because I had questions too. I didn't understand what was going on, and I wanted to share.
Sure. Well, here's my thinking on that. And it's like, yeah, there was military there, and I think there was an interaction with military once again with the wreath. I think so. I don't know.
Yes, maybe there was. It was a white wreath.
Yeah. Okay.
All white.
So, I mean, somebody, I make of it what you will, but it's a cemetery. I've been to Arlington Cemetery. I mean, anybody can go to Arlington Cemetery. I mean, it's a procession, and the families want you to go. I mean, you go. Here's one thing I can say about Trump. I got issues with Trump. I got issues with everybody. I do like the fact that he shows up. He actually puts skin in the game, puts his energy into it. He doesn't hide from the cameras. He doesn't hide from questions. And you may not like what he says, but the fact is, he's going to talk to you. He's going to give an answer, and he's not going to sugarcoat it. He's going to do what he's going to do, and he's going to show up. I mean, and be around the people. And these other vampires, I mean, well, let's record and edit a freaking interview and still look horrible in the process of doing it. And it's just, do you really, I mean, even if you don't agree with the policies at a human level, you're just like, you know what? I might not like him, but I kind of like him because he's putting energy into the system and he's showing up, and he's actually doing something. And you don't see that now. I mean, these not with the other people. I mean, I don't even, if you want to get into an interview, we can get into that real quick and talk about it. I don't know if you watched it, the Harris Waltz stuff. I mean, the optics, let's just look at the optics. She looked bad. She looked, haggard look. She was sitting lower than Waltz. And if you're the presidential candidate, you need to be higher. I mean, you need to have more. And she was kind of slouched over. I mean, if you're managing the set of the movie, that doesn't happen. Shouldn't happen unless it's supposed to happen. And so that's how I look at it.
They always put like those risers on chairs.
Right. She's supposed to look more, stately and, and power and, look, stature, and then Waltz was the one sitting up straight, at attention, higher. I mean, he's like a head taller than her. And it's just like, that just doesn't look right. He's the vice presidential candidate. She's the presidential candidate. She's the one that's supposed to, look like she's in command here and, in control. Yeah. And then, like Mitch said, she's probably drunk. But I mean, it's just, it did not go off well at all. I mean,
I heard it was recorded.
It was recorded and it still didn't go off well. That's what I mean. Who scripted this thing? Because it was horrible. I mean, it was absolutely terrible watching it. I mean, just the visual impact was just bad. I mean, nothing was gained. Points were lost. Let's put it that way. That was a horrible situation. Bad. The answers were terrible. I mean, couldn't answer questions, diverted the questions, and I mean, just answered nothing. Again, nothingness, a circle of nothingness, black hole, spinning.
Jim says,
and she ain't even black. No, maybe she is. I don't know. Jamaican, what is she? Dominican? Is that considered black?
She's Indian.
She's half Indian, and I think she's half Jamaican, right?
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Well, I guess but the thing is, what is black? I mean, are we talking African? Are we talking the skin color? I mean, it's just like all these definitions of all this stuff, and it's just like, are you a human being or not? And I make the argument, probably not. So I guess we got to go with other labels. Vampires.
Nancy quoted this week, I believe it was this week, I saw a video and I shared it on Twitter and in the Telegram group, which you can join for free in the description, that, we need to be cold-blooded, reptilian.
Oh, imagine.
She literally said it.
Imagine.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes, Tom, I agree. It's part of the movie.
Yeah, and I mean, it does. It's almost like it's scripted for failure. Meanwhile, you have the Hall of Justice and the Super Friends on one side. You've got Trump and you got RFK, you got Elon Musk, and you got Tulsi Gabbard. You've got all these, larger than life figures, and then you've got the Penguin, and all these lurching figures that come out of the Hall of Doom, out of the swamp, on the other side. I mean, seriously, remember the cartoon? And it's just, that's what it looks like. And it's just like, Chuck Schumer, oh my goodness. I mean, just the stereotypes, that you can make out of these people. I mean, you got these people standing straight up and you got these people all lurching over.
So I wonder how close we are to the end of the movie, though, because Brazil.
We're getting close because it's getting very obvious that this is not working.
So was it Argentina or Venezuela that just went dark a few hours ago? Power out, cell phones out, and Brazil has totally
got rid of X.
Got rid of Twitter, and if you get caught using a VPN to access Twitter, you are fined $8,860 something.
What are those numbers if you add them up? If we know the actual number, what's that?
I do know the number. Hold on, I can find it.
I'm just looking at comms. Let's go down the comm road. Maybe it ends up being like a certain number.
It's on our 8874. 88 is 16 plus 7. Oh God, I'm terrible at math. So that's 3 plus 4.
Yeah, 27. So 9. It reduces down to number 9. Okay, I don't know if that means anything.
It goes down to 9? How does it
go
down?
If you reduce it down to a single digit, you just keep adding them together until you get a single digit. So you get 27, then 7 plus 2 is 9. So that's like the number. And then it's like your name, letters of your name, birth date, and all that.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
Anyway, that's different. It's make of it what you will.
Another way to do gematria.
Yeah.
Okay, so 8 plus 8 is 16, which would be 7, plus 7. Why are there air balloons going up everywhere?
14
is
plus
14,
whatever.
which is
Plus-
5,
plus 4.
4,
Or 5 plus 4 is 9. No matter how you add it, it's going to be the same. PEMDAS!
PEMDAS, yes.
Order of operations. You can add it up, and I don't know if that's a commutative rule or the associative rule or whatever rule. It doesn't matter. The fact is, it works. I don't know what you call it. I just know it works.
So what does 9 mean?
I don't know. You got to look it up. What's 9 mean in whatever.
Is it angel numbers or
numbers? Well, they're all kind of angel numbers, I guess. But there's different numbers. Like if your life path is a 9 or a 3 or a 2 or an 8, it means something like 8. And Chinese is the money number, and there's it's just what we've applied to it over history. What number means something. 9, I guess, is probably a pretty important number because you got 3 times 3 equals 9, and 3 is a powerful number. 33 Mason stuff, and it's just threes, and so I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. It doesn't mean it means anything. I'm just in a bar having a cigar, drinking some cheap vodka and some premium.
Kindness and caring, inner rebirth. Transforming, old soul, love, karma, spiritual awakening, regarding your soul mission, sending you all the spiritual energy your way. I don't know. I
don't either. Let's throw it out there because we got comments now. Light Shadow says 9 equals final end. Aquarian says I'm a life path of 9. So, make of it what you will. Trust yourself. I'm just throwing the information out there, helping you look at it, not making you, helping you look at it maybe from a different angle. Maybe it means something. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't.
Interesting. The final end. I think so. I was watching Van Meter today. I like him.
I don't know anything about Van Meter.
Oh, you don't?
Van Wilder?
No, Van Meter.
Get a piece of the pie. Get a piece of that Litecoin pie before it's gone. Just saying.
So, hold on. Let me see if I can find it.
Start playing Warrant, right, Paulie? She's mine. No, we're not doing that.
Stephen Van Meter. After I watch Bix, then sometimes I watch Stephen Van Meter. There's Bix. All the Grand Canyon stuff.
Oh, you're crazy. Grand Canyon Gold. Come on, man.
Go watch that. This guy, Stephen Van Meter, he follows like more traditional markets, Best Buy, that kind of stuff. And he's talking about how Best Buy is watching what people are buying and that people are not buying high dollar items. They're buying like need items, not want.
They're not buying Sony Bravias. They're buying Hisense and TCL TVs now.
Right.
Anybody shopping electronics?
I posted in our Telegram group that there was a huge firing at
Goldman Sachs. 1,300 people.
Yes. And they found a dead lady at Wells Fargo that had been at her desk for 4 days. Nobody noticed.
We found her in a covered wagon in the back. It's been sitting there for over 100 years.
Like, what the heck?
Chest of gold next to her.
I mean, something's wrong here. Bix went, so in that video that I just showed of Bix with the Grand Canyon, he went into, go watch it. It's so fun. He goes into he shows on his channel, he has these old videos of the Fed talking about how on a Friday, they'll make the announcement to close the banks. They'd prefer to do it over a 3-day weekend. Well, this weekend is.
I know. I love the one lady. She says, well, hopefully on a Friday afternoon.
Hopefully on a Friday afternoon, and hopefully on a they talk about preferably on a 3-day weekend. Oh, somebody
got plenty of time for damage control.
Oh no, I don't think Uncle Cliff's wife passed away. I don't know.
I know there have been changes. I'm just going by what he said. Changes, with her health and having to make lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
So I know
she was moved
disruption to
a facility to better care for her, and it was far away from where he is. And so I know that was challenging for him to have to drive in and all of that. And I know that's, he was at first he was trying to make the house, adjust the house to where he could care for her there. And so he had to change things, and then he was unable to continue that path. So, yeah, of course, all of our thoughts and prayers go out to them. And he's just been an amazing caregiver to Miss Kathy, and um, just an amazing husband. So we're wishing them all the best, and her, just no suffering, of course. And thanks for thinking of them. That's really kind of you to think of them.
Lisa, rewind to 2019, I think September, when we were in Las Vegas for the Litecoin Summit, and we watched that video that Cliff High was, at the Bix event, but the night before the Litecoin Summit, when Cliff High was talking about, I don't know what it is. My data's picking it up. It's through, all these deep sources that they're all talking about next year being year zero. It's like this new thing. Everything's changing. 2020, what happened? We got all this crap. And then now look where we're at. I mean, think of how different things are now from there. It's like this 911 event, since that point, look what changed. And now look at year zero, 2020, what has changed. And, it's just like this leap into this new,
even 16
voice matrix,
16 to 20 to 24. So my town is where, I don't know if you heard the story about the kids that got in trouble for flying their flag in the high school. That's my town. And that is actually the high school that my children, my adult children, went to that high school. And, but
what flag were they flying, Lisa?
An American flag.
Oh, and that was a problem?
They said it was a safety issue because they have new drivers and it might block their view. But then a child took a video of other children inside the building handing out small handheld flags to other children that might want an American flag. And the teachers were confiscating those and then taking those children to the principal's office to punish them. So tell me that was about safety. No, bullshit. So our schools have been taken over by these radical Tommies.
Like this?
Yes.
Bullshit.
Donkeys. Yes. They're masquerading as Democrats. But the Democrats.
Oh, a bunch of asses. You're telling us what you are.
Talk about name stealers, But so not just 2020, but so there was 2016. I remember sitting in my car and not knowing if I should vote for an asshole or Satan. Like, that's how little I knew about politics. My mom introduced us to Litecoin in 2017. I went right down the rabbit hole, got educated, right down the Litecoin rabbit hole. And it got me, really involved. And I understood that I had an obligation to my country, my family, myself, to, learn what was going on with our money, our politics, our country, our military,
everything. And it's opened up all the connections and everything, all that is.
We all have a responsibility. And in 2020, we voted again and tried to wake up as many people. We saw what happened with, the steal. And we kept fighting and talking and all of that and continued to fight. But then we were also, at that time, there was a lot of fear. And now there's no more fear. There is righteous anger. And people are just done, I think. At least in my circles, in my areas. And I mean, just see a bunch of high school kids there. We drove by the high school today. There's cars pulling in, trucks with big flags pulling in today. They're not taking it. They're not backing down. Their parents are supporting them. We are for the First Amendment and freedom of speech. And they're not gonna put up with it. And, that's the kind of thing, like, and if they want, and they should, and they're all planning on going to the school board meetings, and saying like, you guys will all
And
lose your,
no, I'll take my 3 minutes and I'm going to tell you how it is, because
yeah,
that's my right to do that. And, support those people for expressing their opinions,
absolutely.
and speaking. And you know what? Encourage those people when they turn 18 and graduate, vote for them and get them elected to the school board, because they're fresh and hot and ready.
That's right. Well, and they know
We can
what
start
it was
issuing
like.
degrees,
Right, they know
honorary
what it was
doctorates.
like to be under that, tyranny themselves,
Yes.
and to feel helpless because they were children under that tyranny and no one was listening to them, and thankfully, that was the other thing. There were horrible things that happened under COVID, but some good things that happened is that people that were, busy parents that were trusting the schools
Yes.
to babysit their children, all of a sudden we're like, wait, what's
Like,
happening?
what? You mean I got to get involved now? And no, I'm not saying that facetiously. It's like,
No, but they
because,
watched
because
it.
you're paying them a lot of money. It's like, if
Yeah.
you're running a business and you're paying your manager a lot of money, you're paying a lot to the school. And you look at your tax bill, most of it goes to the school, and 80% of it. And hey, I thought, I was, I hired the right people here. I'm paying you guys a bunch of money. I come into the store, next thing you know, there's food everywhere. There's rats running around. The rice is falling down. You got bad temps on this and that. And it's like mixing meat and lettuce and, what are you guys doing? So you're like, okay, no, we're done. We're done with this. We trusted you to run the store, and now you've done effed it up. And got to be consequences.
There's a thing called fiduciary responsibility.
Yes.
And when you have been entrusted, you are not the leader.
No.
You are a servant.
Exactly.
And when you have been entrusted,
you violate the public trust, it's a big deal.
you've violated the public trust because you have violated your fiduciary responsibility with the resources you've been entrusted with.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our future. These are, our youth. And you have violated our trust with looking out for them and indoctrinating them with your beliefs instead of just teaching them facts. There need to be some consequences, and you need to be fired, and we need to have some changes. Yeah. And so,
no, I agree. I saw a meme that basically said, I love the memes on World Blockchain Roundtable, because go watch it on Lisa's channel, WBRT. But I saw a meme, it might have been on there, I didn't see it today, but it was essentially that, hey, we were fine with you choosing your gender and, whatever your sexual preference was, until you tried to start teaching our children that stuff.
Yes.
It's like, we don't care who you want to be and what you identify as. You go do your own thing. But when you start trying to skew, the future and shape the minds of people, that really, that's not, no. Now we got a problem.
Yeah, I heard that
you live how you want to live, but don't start projecting that stuff
into the children. When they start sexualizing children, it's wrong. There was a guy caught at Disney that was taking photos of children at Disney and AIing them.
At Disney? Well, that's such a wholesome place. I can't imagine such a thing.
Wow, it's disgusting. It's wrong.
Speaking of Disney, remember when Ron DeSantis came out and said, hey, I'm going to come down on Disney, because Disney, if you look at all that, it's set up like Vatican City. They have their own little entity, their own little hovel, their own police force. Things happen there and they investigate it. None of the outside, nothing comes in. They do their own thing. And, he was going to change all that. And then it kind of went away, didn't it? It kind of went away because I think, they uncovered some documents that essentially it tied back to some kind of charter or some kind of gift from some royalty or some royal charter that goes back, some ancient stuff. And then it kind of got left alone. And I'm thinking, well, what happened with that? What's the deal with Disney? I mean, how are they allowed to just, operate independently like, the Pope runs Vatican City?
I didn't hear the follow through on that, to be honest.
Well, there was no follow through. Disney's still doing Disney. It's a tool of the Vatican. Yeah, I mean, they're all, it's like, wait a minute, another city state. I don't know. I'm just curious if anybody knew about that, because it kind of went by the wayside. And then we see the stuff with, the University of Florida come out, and Ben Sasse, the Nebraska senator that became president there, and now he's getting $1 million a year until 2028. Even though he quit. And then you see all these deals and all this money that changed hands, and I'm thinking, what is going on here? Who's running the show, and what's the what's happening? So there's so much of that corruption that goes on that it's hard to keep up with it. But when you see one instance of it, you're like, it's just like fake news. I mean, okay, so it's fake news, and then so now let's look at history. It's like, oh, maybe all the history you've been taught might not be real. Once you open that can,
the colleges are going to fall apart. And what was interesting, we met with a guy today, and his 2 boys are in college, and we have our oldest daughter's just finishing up, and she was saying that like the teachers don't even go to college anymore. They don't show up. She does their work. You grade your own paper, you turn it into them for like a review, and then you have to log it and do whatever to make sure you get your credit, because the instructors have since COVID, they've stopped going. They still get paid, and it's all about all they take attendance.
They're grandfathered in. They're greased in
to make sure they get their grant money. It's just about the grant money. They don't care if the kids get any kind of education. They just get the grant money. They get their paychecks, and it is the dumbing down of America.
Yeah.
And this is where there is a law that talks about the consequences for stifling innovation in America.
Yeah. And talk about that.
Yes. And actually, I have a little information I'd like to share today.
Well,
I don't know if it's time.
Share away, Meryl.
I won't go into it because I want to encourage everyone to go check it out for themselves. I have links in the description below. I am not a lawyer. I'm just a little homeschool mom. But this is an organic effort from token holders in the Veritasium community that took it upon themselves that they feel they've been harmed by different players, through the years. And everyone should read through it. It is incredible what has happened to Veritasium and other projects that I believe were disruptors of some of the largest, centralized big entities. Like if you look at the things like YouTube, Facebook, some of the big players. Like if you look at the parallel, Library was the disruptor of YouTube. They were attacked. Let's say Dragon Chain would have been the disruptor of Facebook. Veritasium is a disruptor of Wall Street. It's a free market. It's creator of free markets. And these disruptors were just attacked by these regulators who are supposed to be looking out for we the people, the little guy. But instead, they are looking out for their buddies who then they end up going to work for.
Hey, who's this guy turning over tables and calling us out for, money changing? F him. We got to do something about this guy. He's a problem. We can't have this rebellious spirit. We got to do something about this guy.
Yeah. So there is, let me just start with.
Yeah, you're messing with my system.
The first link you'll find is called Breaking the Silence. The alleged SEC misconduct sabotages America's leadership in the global tech race. And this talks about the Veritasium case, the SEC case against Veritasium. And there is a lot of this stuff I did not know about until it was all uncovered. They go into this is all taken from public documents that anybody can find. You can go into this document that's in the link below and then click here to download the full dossier that shows it was created by token holders, which are just people in the community that are secondary token holders that were supposedly the defrauded, but they didn't. I'll get into it, but they actually were trying to this Tenero guy tried to get them to say that Reggie harmed them, and they're like, Reggie didn't harm me. You're harming me. I want to use this this software that's patented and you're stopping us from being able to use this software. So, anyway, I won't get into all of this, but I would really encourage you guys to read through this. They also give you some things, some ideas, like you can write to your congressmen and women and ask them to look into it. A lot of these things mimic the debt box case. And then our friend Blind Dave had a great idea that I don't know how legally all this goes, but I don't know if it's possible to write an amicus brief there was recently what was that case that was just opened? Oh gosh. Oh, what was it? Do you remember what case was just opened?
I don't. Case of Tito's. That's all I know.
No. Hold on. Where was it? Oh, darn it. OpenSea, the SEC versus OpenSea. And so I wonder if people that felt they might have been harmed by the SEC that were very holders might use some of this information. And I don't know how that works. Like I said, I'm no attorney and whatever, but it might be interesting to look into something like that and just be a friend to the court and say, like, look, there is some serious overreach by this entity, and it needs to be looked at, But this, they talk about how this senior enforcement attorney, Jorge Tenerero, I can't even say his name right, used deceptive tactics, knowingly made untrue statements to a federal judge to freeze assets of Veritasium, crippling and devastating the company, causing a loss of 24 jobs, and significant stifling in American innovation. They go on and talk about the manipulation and intimidation. Witnesses have come forward to report Tenero using threats and coercion to manipulate testimony and legal outcomes. Abuse of power, reflecting a broader pattern of overreach, and abuse of power where agency has prioritized winning at all costs. Let's see. They go through and use some examples down here where they say that they knew that this ownership of Kraken account. Tenero misrepresented that the Kraken account, through which the vast majority of funds flowed, was held personally by Reggie Middleton, despite knowing it was under Veritasium LLC. Then he did not correct this misrepresentation subsequently in submissions to the court, purposely misleading the court, despite his expert witness and staff accountant initially expressing unsurety about the account's ownership. So, they talk about trading activity on Ether Delta. Tenero misled the court by portraying the testing of Ether Delta exchange as manipulation when it was merely to test liquidity. Misrepresentation of asset flow, falsely alleged vast sums of money were flowing into Middleton's personal account, misleading the court about asset misappropriation of funds, which is fraud on the court, allegedly. False allegation regarding agreements. Tenero falsely alleged the defendants were merely negotiating deals with the JSE, which is Jamaican Stock Exchange, and NSE, when signed agreements were already in place. That's another alleged fraud on the court. Misrepresentation of CEO payments, falsely misrepresented that $1.7 million in a periodic payments to Middleton over 27 months and about 2.5 years was dissipation of assets, misleading the court about CEO compensation. Alleged fraud on the court. Nature of international payments, misrepresented payments to overseas contractors. The list goes on and on. Involved himself in unethically. Oh, this was interesting. Supposedly, this guy, allegedly, so he's like on the prosecution, and supposedly he got on a phone call where somebody was asking for a NAL, no action letter, and like put himself on that phone call, and he should not have been on that phone call. That is my understanding of that. But once again, I'm not an attorney and I don't, that's allegedly. So do your own research on that. Harassment of token holders, aggressively pursued very token holders to coerce them into giving evidence against Middleton, despite them stating they were not victims. Alleged fraud on the court. Victims have either come forward with notarized affidavits explicitly and verbosely describing the coercion or have indicated a fear of retaliation due to their treatment after interaction with Mr. Tenero. Pressure on Veritasium staff, pressured Veritasium's business development lead during their deposition to make speculative statements about financial transactions. Then this talks about things that the SEC's witness did, that the staff accountant did. Then it gets into like the summary. I won't go through the whole thing, but I would really encourage people to look into this. There is a call to action. So it's not just, oh gosh, look at this horrible stuff. This is why we have Congress. They are supposed to be our representatives of we the people. And so
that's what we said last night. It's Congress.
Okay, but
it's Congress.
If you never ask them to do their job, you
They're
can't
gonna be
say,
like, hey, I want my $500 steak dinner. It's Friday night. F you.
well, you can't say they didn't do it if you never held them accountable.
It's like, hey, I ain't heard from anybody, so I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Hold them accountable to look into this. Here is all the information, and say, this is what I believe happened. Here's the information. I believe this should have an investigation. These are allegations, and I believe this should have an investigation. Please look for oversight and accountability. We may need legislative reforms, and to have the media expose the truth. Our media has been complicit for too long. And so bringing the story to light, the media can play a crucial role in safeguarding the principles of justice and fairness. So I would really recommend, there are 2 other links, and this is an urgent appeal to Congress and the media. If you need a resource to help, it talks about the cost of taxpayers and how it affects the innovation in America, and then goes into another court case, which curiously is the same judge, Jennifer Schechter, that was the judge that was in the recent Donald Trump case. Curiously. So I just would really encourage everyone to do their American duty and look into this. I put the links in the description below, but that's for everyone to take initiative themselves and see what you can do for yourself there. So
trust yourself, do your own research, all those things, because that's
there.
what it comes down to. It does. You got to start looking into this stuff, find your path, be the expert. Those things that irk you, go ahead and, dig that stuff out, scratch that itch, do something about it. We can all make a difference. Again, like I said, these kids coming out of the high school, hey, you want to do something about it? Run for school board. Hey, you want to do something about it? Let's get engaged. Let's get active, because they do respond. They do when you put pressure on them. It's just that they don't feel like there's enough pressure to where, they have that, like Cliff says, in his data, his language, they don't have that guttural response. And so you kind of got to give them that guttural response to where you show up and you have the passion and, it's like, hey, it's me and it's this person, that person. We all feel the same way. And you might want to rethink what you're doing. Is the money worth it? Is the suitcase full of cash worth it? Is the house on the lake worth it? At some point, maybe it's not worth it to them, because not everybody's evil. We think, oh, they're bad guys. They're all bad guys. We're all mixtures of good and evil. Some were evil, some were good. And it is what it is. And we make decisions. And sometimes, when you realize politicians are going to, I think at some point, because they're human beings, most of them, a lot of them are vampires. But
They
those are
also have
people
to
with
go
stuff.
home to their family.
Well, that's it. They got to go back to the community. They go to the parades, and they got to eat at the dinner at the restaurant. And it's like, they want a comfortable life. They want to be cushy, and there's enough pressure on them and enough kickback. They're going to start rethinking and say, well, I know that, this guy might come whack me because, I'm beholden to him. However, I got 1,000 people over here that I got to walk around every day, and they're not happy with me. And they kind of want to see this change. And I think they'll change overnight, if the people change, if the people stand up. I mean, they'll be like, okay, hey, yeah, I really think that. There's very few that'll die by the sword, the bloody sword. But we have to get engaged. We have to, have that, I don't know, have that moment, that groundswell moment to where we all say, okay, enough is enough. We're done. We're done. When we see you, we know who you are. Okay. I think it will change. It could change overnight. It could change right now. Just
thank you guys for the super chats. I really appreciate that.
yeah, cool.
It would mean the world to me if you guys would just check out the links, read through them, and see what your soul and heart tells you to do. There are, it's
trust your instincts. Don't be scared by the media, mind wash machine. Don't. Now, trust your gut. Your gut's usually right. And I think you all know that, when you go with your instincts. I've had many examples of that. I know this is going to happen. I should probably do something about it. And then the universe says, yes, you need to do something about it now because you waited.
And remember the power of local. Remember the power of, and this gives me chills just saying this. And so I know I've got a couple of people I'm going to be in the irony that I am going to be, I sent some emails to some friends, but I know there's some more people that I need to call and that have some special connections. And because this is for all of us, this is not about Reggie's patents. This is about free markets for all of us. This is about, just to give you an example, my friend shared a picture of an eagle sitting on an American flag on Facebook the other day, and it was blocked and said that it was a violent image and that it had to be blocked, and that if I wanted to see it, to click the button. And I'm like, this is a God-fearing woman, whatever. So I click it, and it's a American eagle that says they love our country and God and America and all this. And I'm like, what is wrong with Facebook that you don't want you to see something like that? What's wrong when our children can't put a flag on their vehicle at school or pass out flags to their friends at school? What's wrong when they don't want us transacting peer-to-peer with each other? That's what's wrong. They want us to live in 15-minute cities. They want us to eat bad food. They want us to, eat the bugs and watch TV.
Drink the fluoride.
Drink the fluoride, all the things.
It's good. It's nutritious. It's healthy for your teeth.
Yes, and believe what MSM is telling. We tell them what to think. That's our job, or whatever that crazy.
Yeah, remember that one.
Yeah, and so we do have
power. Coming from the daughter of Zbigniew Brzezinski, who's anyway.
Westwood tells us all the time: talk to your local sheriff, get to know people in your area,
get to know the local people,
get to know your state congressmen and women, your senators. They work for you. Yep. And go sit in their office and talk to them. And
bring them a dozen donuts, and maybe some coffee, and just sit down. Here's the thing, get in there for the staff, bring some donuts or something to be the nice person, and just hang out and say, hey, and just be, a human being, get to know them, and have that conversation, and lead some truth to them, and get them thinking, hey, listen, hey, maybe
right. We're bringing solutions. These are solutions that are good for America. These are good things. We're not bringing fights. We're bringing solutions.
No. We all want to be left alone. We all want to just live our lives, and it's just okay. So let's
But we can do it together.
Yeah, we don't have to have war in the streets like they want, because that's how they operate.
Yep. In fact, I just thought of another person that I need to email.
There you go. Make a list.
Mm-hmm.
Write it down. I have a local experience today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not a big hot weather fan. I'm not a big, I don't like humidity. I would never live in Florida. I would never live in South Texas or Texas for that matter, even though there's a lot of good things that can be offered in Texas. But the heat, to me, it's a big turnoff. I'm not big on that. And so last night, the air conditioner went out. And I knew it was going to go out. And I talked to Mitch about it, because the blower fan, I knew, it made a noise a few weeks back. And I'm like, it's going to go out. I just know it. So anyway, it did last night. Just stopped turning. Turn it on. So I'm like, man, I walked in from Hash It Out and I went down there and looked and, it was trying to turn. It wasn't turning. I'm like, man, this thing stinks. This thing's burning up. Turn the power off, to that. And so I called a guy, I'm like, okay, I can call this guy. And I'm thinking, I know what needs to be done. I don't want to do it. I could do it, but we wouldn't be doing happy hour right now because I'd still be working on it, cussing it. So I'm like, all right. So I call a local guy and, recommended by my dad, he did some work for him 3 years ago. And he's like, hey, go, call him. And I'm like, all right, I'll give him a call. Called him this morning. He's like, okay, yeah, I'll be out there. I got this going on, that going on. I'll be out there probably early afternoon. And I'm thinking, yeah, nothing ever goes according to plan. And so he showed up like 4:20, I think it was. And so he comes in. Yep. And he happened to have the motor, replaced it, had a great conversation while he was doing it. Boom, boom, boom. And he said, well, this is normally, I said, hey, write that up now when he went out to the truck. I said, write this up now. I want to pay in cash. That way, we're done and you've got your money. It's a holiday weekend and, you don't have to be billing it and all that stuff. And so I pay him in cash and he's like, oh, it'd normally be, this much money. And, it was like, since you're paying in cash, let's knock off. It was like, I don't know, 10% or something. And so, I kind of met him halfway and said, no, I'm going to give you this amount. Which was cheaper than it would have been, but I paid him in cash. He walks away with it. We've got a great relationship. And I mean, he's a local guy and, he's got his family working for him. His daughter's working for him. His wife's working for him, in the business. And he's like, oh, that's awesome. And so knowing those local people rather than, because I could have called some of the big players, got the big name, the advertising, and they've got the crew to do the stuff. But this guy came and did it. He got it done in one day. Now I got air conditioning again. And so I'm not sweating because I got 80 degrees in the house and 80 degrees for Westwood with humidity is not a good thing. Good thing I have a basement.
Always on like
do what the animals do.
A hot weekend. Yeah.
Oh, and I this has got to be done. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, can this get done? Hopefully the parts and all this, because I've got a 50-year-old electric, setup. And I've got all these parts, for relay switches that you can't find. I see them on eBay, stock them up because I can change out stuff. And I mean, I'm not going to put in a new $10,000, $15,000 setup, a new thing, because I just bought a new freezer and had to have somebody come out after 2 months because, the factory doesn't put a certain little 1 penny part into it so that, certain things don't freeze up. And they came out and did it and done. And so, anything new at this point, I don't have a lot of confidence in. But the things that it's been working for 50 years, okay? Just replace the part and fix it and make it work and find somebody local who's willing to do that. Because I talked to somebody else about it and they're like, you should probably get a new system. It's more efficient. It's new. And I'm like, I ain't putting money into that. I mean, it's just silly because I got something that works. I want to keep it working. So just replace that one part instead of just throwing the whole thing away. And, building that relationship, having that, and he happens to build cabins. So we had a little bit of a conversation
awesome.
And so I'm like, yeah, this might be something that works out in the future. And so building that local relationship, I didn't try and cheapskate him and say, well, you take less because I'm paying in cash. It's like, no, he gave me a good deal and I paid him more than he quoted me, but less than what the job would have taken. And now there's a good relationship there. So in the future, you got somebody that you can lean on. And so it's building those relationships, that community, and using not necessarily, cash is money in the system, but it is more valuable than, handing him a credit card and saying, here, take the 3% hit, brother, and it's just, you build those relationships. And that's what you got to do. And that to me is the way out. It's finding those people to do the things that you can't do or don't want to do and having the resources. And that's how we win going forward rather than corporatizing everything, thinking that that's going to save us. Because it's just not. I mean, we've got to have those people with the skills and honor those people and respect those people when they show up the day of and fix something. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, it really is.
No, for sure. That so I know Jack Straw is like a not necessarily a factual site or whatever, but he was saying something about we're moving to a system of merit or which to me is like a bartering kind of thing. It's more of like the state national people kind of talk about it more. Big shout out to S Cash. Thank you so much for the multiple um, uh, donations. That's really sweet of you. And thank
Yes,
you to
thank you.
Strategy.
Put a Litecoin QR code up there, and then you can all donate in Litecoin and be like, boom, a penny transaction, and boom, Litecoin Lisa gets
I'll
some
get one
Litecoin.
for next week.
Yeah,
For
get that next time and put that up in
sure.
the corner, and anybody wants to donate, they can, boom, scan it and go.
I'll do that, but I do appreciate the generosity.
No, it's awesome.
And it's encouraging too, because I know that there's a risk in, speaking out against the three-letter agencies and saying like, look, there's some wrongdoing here. But we, the people, have a right to grievance and going to our local representatives and saying, I want you to look into this. I'm not a lawyer and I have entrusted you with being an advocate for me. And so I'm asking you, it looks like something went wrong here. And I want you to look into it because this is you're supposed to be an advocate for we the people. And I feel like this was handled wrong. And so I'm definitely going to do my part and reach out to those that are supposed to be looking out for the America's best interest. But what was I just talking about? You were talking about, the peer-to-peer stuff. And Jack Straw said, we're going to like a merit system. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's like, Reggie's working on something right now. That's like I don't know if he would use the term merit system, but like, something similar to that. I don't know what exact term he would use, but I was like, hey, if that is true, that real Donald Trump is moving to that, and you know how Trump keeps saying you're gonna no tax on tips, and Elon has the tipping on
He's
X.
also got money transmitter licenses in like 37 states now, I think.
Right. So if you could tip someone by paying them through X, and then there's no tax on tips, and it's more of like a peer-to-peer transaction. And if Reggie has that figured out, and if that's what Uncle Cliff is talking about, that the government comes to Reggie hat in hand because he does have that figured out, that would be amazing. So I just tagged them all in it. I don't think Donald Trump watched my tweets, but it would be really nice.
The government's not going to fix the problems. I mean, all they can do is say, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's incorporate that. And so it's really up to the free market, what's left of it. And we are the free market to invent those things, to create those things. Like Reggie created that. I mean, what he created, I mean, those are the important things. And I think at some point when we realize it's broken enough, and when people realize it's broken enough, they're going to be looking for real solutions to how do we unbreak it or at least mitigate through it. And, having those things in place and talking to the people who make the decisions for us, who we elect and represent us, to get it in front of them. Because, face it, we can talk about it all day long, but we know it's right, but they might have never heard of it. And so you got to just put it in front of them. How many times it's like, oh man, I didn't even know that existed, because my funders, the PACs don't talk about that stuff. They just don't want certain things. And so you got to bring it to them, and that's all you can do. Don't get frustrated. Don't get upset and say, oh my gosh, how do I fight City Hall? It's like, no, you just have to put it out there, put it in the universe, put your energy into the universe. It's better than not putting it out there. And so get it in front of those people and, let the chips fall where they may. And, you do the best you can, but you can't not live your life here and develop that peer-to-peer system here that we have the tools to do to escape that system. I mean, because face it, if that system implodes and I'm the first guy that says, yeah, hit the red button and implode it, well, I know what the consequences of that are. They're not good. And I would rather find a way to, change the system if it's possible. And rather than, just implode the whole thing, because, a lot of people die at that point. a lot of people lose everything and it goes to complete crap. And yeah, that might be the quick way to do things and say, F you, we're in position, we've got our peer-to-peer networks. But the thing is, you might have all the tools for the peer-to-peer network, but you don't have any peer-to-peer. Right. I mean, that's another thing. And so, you've got to hit it from all angles and live in different worlds, and try to fix
Community
as best you can the things that are there and try and fix those. But on the other side, realize if they can't get fixed, that you build other options and other opportunities and other networks to make it work. So we're living in an interesting time. We really are, to where, we've got to be active. We've got to be proactive. We've got to get ourselves out there in the universe and try and change it the best we can.
Well, that's where community matters so much. I want to say thanks.
You got a lot of like-minded people. If 10 people show up to that congressperson, they're going to take notice.
They are. And that's why it's so important. If you please can consider writing a letter or forwarding that information with a quick note. If they got 2 notes from people, 3 notes from people, you don't know who else in your state may be reaching out to them. But that you might be the tipping point for them to take action as well. I also want to say thank you to Jake's Custom Parts, because he also made a donation. That was really sweet.
That's Kush again.
Oh, even more of you guys are. Oh my gosh. Thank you.
Dropping the super chats. It's a Super Friday, baby. Super Friends. Right here. We're talking about Super Friends.
But another way for great community, there's S Cash again, is to come to Westwoods in October. I'm super excited for that. We are going to be hosting a Westwood October 4th meetup in Metamora, Illinois at The Room, which is on the town square. It is the cutest.
Metamorphosis. We're going to change things. We're going to be like that, that cocoon and that butterfly that comes out from the caterpillar.
Yeah,
right?
It's a great.
We're crawling along, and pretty soon we're going to fly.
It's a great location. We'll be there for hours, and we'll do some giveaways. We'll have all kinds of friends and hang out. We'll do the happy hour show live from there. We'll get there a little bit early. We'll stay late, of course. And we'd love to meet all of you guys. There's also a lot of the people in the chat will be there live, so you'll get to meet people that you've been talking with. And it's just a great time to meet and talk with like-minded people. We always have people there that are helping with education. If you'd like to be a sponsor of the event or have a product that you'd like to share at the event, go to clintwestwood.net and hit up Westwood, send him a message from his to his website, and he can connect with you, and you can have a booth or something there. We'll definitely accommodate that.
Yep, absolutely. It's free to attend. I mean, donations are always accepted. Little Tito's or some bourbon, we'll accept that and we'll drink with you. But it's just, the big thing is just showing up and taking that effort, because there are a lot of people that drive and fly, come from far away to come to these things, because they do realize the importance of community and getting together and having those relationships. And those relationships are solid. I mean, they really are. And you see people show up in this chat. You see people, we have talks, we have discussions, we have different groups, we have talked to each other. And it's a very empowering thing when you're going through hard times. And, we may be going through, because you've said it many times, we may be going through the greatest depression and not know it, because we have relationships to pull us through it together. And I mean, things, we're going to look back and say, man, things were kind of screwed up then, weren't they? Yeah, they kind of were, but we got through it because we had, somebody to pull us through it. We had other people that were, that stood up and showed up. And that's important. I mean, it really is. And so meet those people, find those people. Don't lead that life of quiet desperation and don't take that step. That journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. So you take that step. The next thing you know, you're chatting it up with Litecoin Lisa on happy hour for 4 years straight. Every Friday. And relationships are very important, and develop those and meet people. And I'm always grateful for all the people who show up. And I love everybody who shows up. I'm not a people person.
Polly wants to know if we're having karaoke.
Well,
I don't know if they have karaoke at. I think
we could probably bring the machine, and I think Dave, the owner, will be fine with it, because we kind of,
because Allie, I think, is coming
his night.
she's an amazing singer. So
I want to have Allie and Lisa doing some kind of duet. We got to get a song to where you're karaokeing together
I
because
would
you
be
both have
intimidated
beautiful
to sing with
voices.
her. She's really, really talented. I'm like a campfire singer, like when
Well, we
it's
got
late
campfires.
and yeah, and dark and everybody's had a few, and then I sound really good.
Oh, really good.
But no, Allie sounds amazing. If you guys aren't following her, Allison McTavish on
Yes.
YouTube, go
If you
follow
like
her.
Fleetwood Mac, if you like Stevie Nicks, then you're gonna like Allie.
She's amazing. And it looks like Jake is going to be joining
Jake's gonna be rolling through with the Rand.
the Rand. Oh Lord,
Look out! Yeah, look out! I said, I made a comment, Jake. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you're coming. I know you got to bring Thoran with you, but that's all right. No, I love Thoran.
we love the Rand.
I do. I love him. He's a very unique guy. I mean, he's a pretty awesome guy. I mean, he really is.
Yeah, I got to
great
meet him
people.
in Vegas for the first time. Yeah, we've got to meet some really great
Won't be the
people.
last time. Coming to Central Illinois in the middle of what may be cornfields at the time. I don't know. Might be gone by then. That's all right. Get that GMO corn out of here. And
Yeah,
man,
I'm still hoping Bix and Amy will consider coming.
that would be wonderful. I mean, can you imagine? We'll have like a music fest. This will be like
that would be awesome.
Woodstock, West Woodstock, or something.
Yeah. And the kids would be great. I'm going to hit them up as well. I think I'm having a video with Skullcap Savant this coming Wednesday. He's just moving, and so he didn't have internet for a while. We've been, the video I sent you of the ad with the Batman wallet. I sent that to him, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's in my Oz." He just did a video, an Oz video, and that was in his something about Batman with that. And so
is Elon Musk Batman or is Donald Trump Batman?
I don't know.
You got the billionaire who's,
or is it RFK?
Billionaires everywhere.
Billionaires everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. But
yep. But again, think of them what you will, but the thing is they are putting the time in, they're putting the energy in. That's what I mean. They're showing up, and they could sit back like Zuckerberg did and just get rolled and just apologize later. Or you can do the right thing now and say, I don't care, I'll take the risk and whatever. The money's not worth anything. I'm going to do my thing. And so it's an interesting play that we're watching, I guess, because you see the different characters on stage that, and how they do things as opposed to how other people do things. The foils to them. And so I think the analogy of the whole Hall of Justice versus the Hall of Doom, I think we're kind of watching that play out a little bit. Where does it end up? I don't know.
I don't know, but he apparently apologized for after all we've been through. You guys know how much we've all been censored. So things Facebook used to censor people for, saying natural immunity was a thing. Vitamin D helped the system. Vaccines were experimental. The vaccines were dangerous. Vaccines didn't work. You needed a vaccine for a mild flu-like pathogen. Ivermectin is effective for COVID. Masks don't work. Lockdowns don't work. COVID came from a laboratory. PCR tests are useless. Turns out all the above is true, and now people are dying in record numbers, and it's not with or from COVID. Mark Zuckerberg, COVID censorship was wrong, and I wish I had fought it. He's sorry. He apologizes. Yeah. He's sorry.
And there's something to be said about contrition and being sorry for it. And it's like, what are you going to do now? It's like going to confession. Hey, I did all this stuff. I'm not kind of ashamed of it, and so I got to get it off my chest. But then if you go and do it the next week and then come back and ask for another apology, it's like, okay, at what point? And so I don't know where he's at.
Now he's blocking American eagles and flags and saying they're violent.
Right. So come back later and apologize again. It's like, I know I'd rather, I don't know, just eat the pain like Cliff says right now. I mean, just, do the right thing now and follow your conscience. and trust yourself, and let it fall. Like I said, let the chips fall where they may. It doesn't matter, and do the right thing. And had a lot of people that did that in the revolution in this country, to where they put everything at risk, all their property, all their money, everything. And hey, we're going to hang if we don't win this thing. But we feel like we're on the right side of history, and we're gonna continue forward. And so you need those kind of people, and they may be right, they may be wrong. 3/5 of a person in the Constitution is not a good thing. However, there's a lot of things that came out of that. I mean, Andrew Jackson did a lot of great things, but he did some things that probably aren't real good. If you're a Native American, you probably don't like Andrew Jackson. And, but if you're anti-bank and anti-establishment money controlling you, then you probably like him. And so, again, we're all mixtures of good and evil. We try to do the right things. And, there are times where people stand up and, they fight for something, and they're willing to risk it all. And you know what? You gotta kind of give a little bit of respect to those people, because they do have a lot to lose, and hopefully it's for the right reasons.
Yeah, I know it's a
I got
risk.
nothing to lose, so it's like whatever. I'm smoking
We
my
all
cigar and
have
talking a bunch
something
of
to
crap.
lose. That's where, and it is, it's a risk to stand for something, but Steak's here. Yay, happy hour.
Steak is awake.
Steak is
Still.
awake.
He's like, what, 5 hours ahead of us or something? Yay, happy
I
hour.
don't know his time frame.
Yeah. There's no clone in Westwood, right? Light Shadow? No. One of a kind, right? Broke the mold.
Oh, we love you.
Broke it before they tried to mold me. Busted that thing to pieces. They're like, nah, I'll throw that away. Let's not do that again.
S. Cush just threw another 20 at us. My goodness.
Dang, he's
not generous.
Pushing and cushing. No fear at 60. Lost my job in healthcare.
Lost my job in healthcare. Had to start over. Got a better job in the end. Have no fear, folks. It works out. Stand tall through the next few months. Okay, my husband and I just had this talk today.
Yep.
Because he was making significant amount of money. Mm-hmm. He never would have walked away. But the great infection came. They wanted us to not go see my parents because they were across state lines. They wanted him to do all the ridiculousness, compromise his character. And he said no. And they fired him. And because of that, we got married later in life and didn't find each other. And now we're together 24/7. And it's been an adjustment, but we love it. Yeah. And we are doing things now and have changed our lifestyle. And he cooks every meal. We're way more healthy. We have adjusted our values about things, everything's different about the way we live life, what things that we value, how we spend our time, the people that we surround ourselves with, all of that, because
you took that leap of faith and you trusted yourself and said, I got a lot to lose, but you know what? I'm willing to lose it because I don't want to lose my soul again.
Right. We're not going to compromise.
What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? I mean, that's what it comes down to. And, it's just like, I can have all this stuff. I can be Mark Zuckerberg and have an island, he doesn't have the island, but, a big property on an island. And it's just, but what good does that do you when you're disconnected from humanity, when you're disconnected from, who you are, and, you gain all these tangible things that, ultimately it's death comes equally to us all and makes us all equal when it comes. And when you have that mindset and you say, you know what, if I'm not doing something good, if I'm not putting out, good deeds and good energy, then what am I doing? What am I building up? What am I storing up?
You and I taking our kids out of public school.
Yeah, done.
I know you were just as scared as I was about.
I should have done it before. I regret not doing it earlier. And it's just like, it's scary.
It's intimidating.
Sure it is.
And but I still know it's the right thing to do. And today, like, I was not wanting to teach Latin and cartography and what else did we do? Natural science, and I don't even know what else we did today, but I had to put the time in and I had to do the things. And I know I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm making the right sacrifices for my son and for the future and for our family and and for America. And I think, and if it's the wrong thing, then it's okay. I'd rather be wrong and make those choices, And
Right,
if
but
he's
the
mad at me
alternative is
later, then my heart was in the right place. You
right.
know.
No, absolutely. We don't have a playbook. We don't know the answers,
Yeah.
but we know that the way things are going, it is not. It's a beautiful sky out here. I mean, it really is. I mean, take a look at nature and look around.
Mhm.
Um, See the beauty in life rather than looking at the negative in life. And there's too many agendas when you send your kid off somewhere and let somebody else take care of them because you don't know what they're trying to teach. I mean, at least you know that you were there. And I think that's the most important thing, knowing that you're there and you care. And I mean, they'll look back, even though you may not think that now, it's important and you may be struggling now, but when you look back, hey, I was there all the time. And, when they had a question, when they were struggling with something, you might not have the answer, but let's figure it out. Let's
Well,
let's
and you
let's
never know
investigate
what that
together. Let's go down
is
that
gonna
path
be.
together and find
Right.
the truth.
Even Kush saying, like, at 60, lost his job in healthcare, or her, I don't know if Kush is a guy or a girl. Um, they're an artist, so they have a little puppy dog picture, and has a better job in the end, something that they never would have taken that leap, and now they have this new opportunity in their life, and, and the that they never would have taken. Like, Charlie would
Right.
have been working 60-hour weeks plus, and we wouldn't have this time together, and now we're together all the time and going out picking junk and selling it online, and we're together all the time. Like, you never know what you will always be okay. The universe will
Yes,
provide for you. You will figure it out. The world's
absolutely.
not going to eat you.
Yep.
Um, and so I don't know. I just encourage everybody to just keep moving
Just take
forward.
that
And
leap of faith. I mean,
yeah,
because it's in you, and you know that you should. Again, you don't want to look back and say, "I should have done it, I could have done it, but I didn't do it."
right.
That's a bad place to be in when you can't,
No
when
regret.
you're on a hospital bed and or dying away, and living a life of regret. Just don't, don't. And it will work out. I mean, it really will. I've seen it many times in my own life to where it's like, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I don't even know. I don't even know. And then something happens because you're like, need a little help here, and always works out. I mean, it does. So,
Well, I wore my Crypto Warrior shirt today because I was going to be brave. I was going to share the dossier for Veritasium, the SEC versus Veritasium case. And I wanted everyone to please consider looking at it as an individual, look into it, and look into those action steps and consider, do you have an action step? Is it something that you should take to advocate for yourself and for America on behalf of American innovation, and each one of us, and the future for your children, because I think I do. So
absolutely, you've all got something to offer. You might think it doesn't matter because you've been told it doesn't matter, but go paint that picture. Go make that artwork that's inside of you and express that to the world. Whatever it is, just go do it. If it's fixing air conditioners, on a Friday before Labor Day weekend, and you made somebody's life better, and somebody's very thankful, like I am right now. And it's just, whatever your skill set is, doesn't matter what it is, whatever it is, whatever your hand findeth to do, do it with all thy might. And I mean, that was a quote from like a Bram Stoker, a book about Bram Stoker who wrote Dracula. Tie it back to vampires always, right? But I mean, there's a it's just you've got something to offer to the world. Offer it, do it. Whatever you're good at, I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, just do it. Put it out there and,
make
and
your voice
embrace
heard.
it. And you can build a business or whatever. It brings you happiness, brings joy to other people, not false joy like the DNC likes to preach. It's just real joy. I
Yeah.
mean, because it comes from your soul and you put it out there in the universe, just like art. When you put it out in the universe, someone else will appreciate that. And you might not know it at the time, and it will come back And somebody may say to you 10 years later, gosh, darn it, when you did that, you really, really put my life on a better path. And you didn't even know you did it, but I'm thankful that you did. You have no idea that butterfly effect, when you put that good energy out there, how much, it's like that candle, or the match in the darkness. That one match, how it diffuses out into that darkness. It's pitch black, but that one little tiny match, the light that it brings, I mean, you don't know who sees it. That pond, that ripple, you throw that in there, and it hits another shore, and somebody sees that ripple, the message in a bottle, you throw in there, and somebody picks it up. I mean, whatever it is, you don't know, but you got to put that out there, because if you don't put it out there, then nobody's going to receive the message. So put out what you have that's good, and you might be 99% bad, but you got 1% good. Put that 1% out there in the world, and it's gonna have an effect. It just is.
Absolutely.
Know that.
Thank you guys all for all the super chats and your support, all of your positive comments in the live chat. Please join us at Westwoods in October. Go to clintwestwood.net to find more information about that. And join us on Spaces tonight.
Yes, join us on Spaces tonight. Hey, speaking of which, look at Litecoin right now. I mean, we're at a point where there's the crescendo moment coming. Just watch it. I'm watching the bubbling up. I'm watching the energy, and I'm watching people understand what it is. It is sound money for the digital age, and it will be proven that. And not that I'm all in on the digital age, but we are living in a digital age. I'm talking to you on a digital device, and we're having this conversation. It's bringing us together. So use those tools that are out there. And I think one tool that is going to be recognized very soon is something like Litecoin. And, just take a look at it and do some research on it. And I mean, we're seeing some underpinnings right now of good things coming. Let's just say that.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys tonight on Spaces. Go follow Westwood on Twitter. You'll find all the links in the description below. Thank you all so much.
They murdered my family. They thought they murdered me. My actions are not vengeance. No, not vengeance. Punishment.
Telling you that. Yeah. Do you get it? We are in a war. It's a digital war. You just watch what happened a couple minutes ago, and then you're wondering, but why doesn't he tell us this detail right here? Why? Why the fuck do you think they don't? Are you pissed yet? You've got days to save your country. And when people do what they have to do, don't be fussing like somebody is overstepping the line. If you hear that from somebody, tell them to shut the fuck up and get out of our face. We're not letting the steal stand. Take that and stuff it right up your ass. It's not gonna happen. Am I being clear enough for me?
I think that was listen.
My administration will be here for you every single step of the way. We've done everything we can do, and now we're just waiting for the storm. And I guess it's right behind me. It's following me.
We're on the front lines of the most important battle in history, and it is the battle to save democracy and freedom and human liberty and human dignity from this totalitarian cartel that is trying to rob us simultaneously in every nation in the world of the rights that every human being is born with. So thank you for your courage, thank you for your commitment, and thank you for your brotherhood. And I can pledge to you that I will go down dying with my boots on, fighting side by side with all of you to make sure that we return these rights and preserve them for our children. And I will see all of you on the barricades. Thank you.
I'm going to pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gotta be biblical.